A wall on our border with Mexico. That was a signature campaign promise. The other strips funding for sanctuary cities, which won't arrest or detain immigrants living in the U.S. illegally. The president says his actions will save thousands of lives, millions of jobs, and billions of dollars. He signed the orders at the Department of Homeland Security and delivered remarks afterward.
We're in the middle of a crisis on our southern border. The unprecedented surge of illegal migrants from Central America is harming both Mexico and the United States, and I believe the steps we will take, starting right now, will improve the safety in both of our countries. Going to be very, very good for Mexico. A nation without borders is not a nation. Beginning today, the United States of America gets back control of its borders, gets back its borders.
All right, and just as we went to air, Eric, apparently the a statement from the government of Mexico that says that President Nieto is rethinking his trip next week. Last week they announced that he would be coming to meet with Donald Trump. Now apparently this just coming across that he's considering canceling it. I imagine that he won't cancel it and that he will come. I remember during the campaign you said that was the one thing he was going to have to do right away is announce something about the wall.
The concern.
And so he's making good on a campaign promise today.
Making good on that. And I, you know, my talking point going into this show was that it was very interesting because Peña Nieto is coming January 31st, and they will have a joint press conference afterwards, and someone is going to have to ask, well, so who's going to pay for this wall? You two. We have you both there. So someone's going to have to say, well, he won or he won. My guess is, and there's a great out for Trump in this, and he can say, you know, one of his other campaign promises was to either renegotiate NAFTA or kill it completely. So he may be able to find a way to renegotiate NAFTA, stay in NAFTA, and have Mexico pay for the wall and come out and say, look, I did both of these, I promised both of these. And Mexico may want to do that because we have a massive trade imbalance with Mexico. They benefit from us being they're probably their biggest trading partner and their biggest customer. So there's probably some leeway in that.
And in fact, there was something yesterday that said that Mexico was thinking about a preemptive strike and that they would leave NAFTA first.
How's he going to get out of NAFTA? Just out of curiosity. It happens to be a treaty that's been...
You go like this. You go, we're out of NAFTA.
Yeah, no, it doesn't work that way. Eric, let me explain
like
something to you.
We're out of NAFTA.
It's not like with the things he's done, the low-hanging fruit that he's been having fun with all week. Now he's got to talk about... He can get out of the Pacific Trade Agreement because we're not in it yet. It still hadn't passed Congress. NAFTA has a treaty that's been approved by the United States Senate.
I understand how it works.
He can't just say, we're not going to have NAFTA. I mean, the days of his tweeting
But Bob, what about talk about the wall since we're talking
the wall?
Yeah.
Well, the wall is as usual with the wall. The Mexicans have about as much chance of paying for that wall as Greg does of not having a glass of wine. I mean, it's not going to happen. And what's now going to happen is the American taxpayers are paying for Trump's wall, which is a ridiculous concept anyway. And it's not even appropriate money. He's taking money out of parts of the budget to start building something.
But the wall, in 2006, there was language passed in legislation there that said that a wall could be built, and there were certain sections of it. Some of it has been done. It was already, some of it's single-tracked. I think that Donald Trump would want dual-track. But this is a day that his supporters really wanted. Remember, they would chant, build the wall.
He should have combined all of the actions into one thing. He should get the Syrian refugees to build a wall around Chicago. Just do it all. Chicago's a sanctuary city, so is Pompeii. Look, you know, you hear that old line about building a wall. If he builds a 20-foot wall, there will be 21-foot ladders being built. So what?
That's my line.
Yeah, build the ladders.
Quoting Bob.
Trump just created more jobs in Mexico. The ladder building industry will take off.
And the tunnel industry.
In the tunnel industry. So he's making Mexico great again.
But he said that he was doing that. He said it was going to be good for Mexico.
Well, I just wanted to say that I think a lot of these things seem like an imposition because there's so many of them. But if you look at them, you know, increasing ICE or Border Patrol is not an imposition on anybody. Getting rid of sanctuary cities is not an imposition on anybody. Victims advocacy, ending asylum fraud, these are not things that cause people heartache. They're not an imposition. They are actually reasonable. It just probably seems overwhelming to liberals that they're happening one after the other, and they're going, oh, my God, make it stop. But if you look at them separately, they're okay.
It says it's bother liberals. It's like a free target zone. Are you kidding me? This guy's given me more material in 2 days than I had in 4 years having to defend Obama.
Kimberly, there's actually over 200.
No wonder you're so happy.
There's over 200
man, I tell you,
sanctuary
I love
cities.
this guy.
And you used to actually be a prosecutor in
Yep,
one of them.
in San
What
Francisco.
can the federal government do to try to stop that?
Well, see, this is the problem because they're not in actual compliance with the federal law. And so if it was my decision and I was in one of these places, I'd say, wait a second, don't give the funding to these cities that are refusing to obey federal law. It's a little bit complicated, but there's ways to get around it to try to do it because they're going to try and make a political point, right, because of their constituents in that area and set an example. And you've seen a number of the places of our largest cities signing on to say that they will not abide by this and they do not agree with President Trump's policy. But nevertheless, they don't get to pick and choose which laws they want to follow and to adhere to. And if they are not going to be in compliance, then there has to be some kind of penalty for that.
What money is he going to take away from these sanctuary cities?
There's border security money that almost every city, every one of these sanctuary cities gets. It's an enforcement money that he can pull back. It's not a whole heck of a lot of money, but there are ways you can tie other money to it too, Bob.
I'm willing to wager every sanctuary city in this country will continue to be a sanctuary city, and it's probably going to add to it.
I don't know about that. Let's listen to him, though. Let's go to the call for soundbite number 2 when he talks about, he says, get the bad ones out fast. He's talking
we get
about
more Trump?
Yes, we do.
We are going to get the bad ones out, the criminals and the drug deals and gangs and gang members and cartel leaders. The day is over when they can stay in our country and wreak havoc. We are going to get them out, and we're going to get them out fast, and John Kelly is going to lead that way.
Of it.
Kimberly, yesterday, Sean Spicer, the press secretary, was asked about the Dreamers. These are the children brought to America illegally by their parents, but President Obama said to Donald Trump, please, when you become president, consider that these are innocent people. And so the priority apparently is going to be on the criminals and trying to get them out first.
Well, of course, and that's very consistent with what he said all along. He's not trying to, deport and send away people out of this country that are law-abiding. Of course, you're going to prioritize and you're going to say, okay, in terms of this triage, what are we going to do? We are going to stop and start right away with the people that are the criminal recidivists that come back in and forth like a revolving door into this country, violate the law, commit felonies, commit murders like we saw with the Kate Steinle case. That's got to stop. Why would anybody be against kicking out criminals, Bob, like gang members and murderers and rapists and people who commit horrible acts of violence? Why should they be allowed to stay here? Why is that a bad thing?
Some of my best friends, but the point, listen, the idea here that somehow
you're saying they're all
Trump
liberals?
always makes it sound like nothing's been done, but I'm here now, and today we're going to start doing this. They've been deporting criminals out of this country for the last 15, 20 years.
60,000 out of the 2 million criminal illegals here currently. Last year, they deported 60,000.
Yeah, but that's a lot of people.
60,000?
Yeah, and how's Trump going to get the other
wait. There are 2 million.
million.
There are 14 million illegals. 2 million have criminal records, and 60,000 we got rid of.
How's he going to get rid of the other ones?
Well,
when they're caught, then you send them back. That's how you
that's
prosecute
usually
them.
what happened.
Send them back. That's how. No. President Obama didn't do that. That's the whole
wrong.
point. He didn't do that. He let them stay against their deportation orders.
You're done with Obama.
Some of them
on to
Well,
Trumper.
I'm just saying, do it.
But he's the gift that keeps on
is
giving,
set up to
'cause it's got still in
deport
place.
criminal aliens. The law is set up to do it. You just have to have a president and a border security and an ICE and
there has to be enforcement at local levels as well.
And they have to go ahead and uphold the law. That's how you do it.
What do you think? Do you think Obama said don't let that rapist go back?
That's exactly what he said. He said we're not going to deport them. It doesn't matter if they have criminal.
You've been listening to Trump too long.
All right, Bob. 60.
I don't know the numbers in terms of deportations, but ending sanctuary cities would be
also with DOJ and
a good thing for the American people, right, Greg?
Yes, I think it would be a good thing.
Thank you.
And the recidivists, have them build a wall. Send them down, have them build a wall. Like the old-fashioned chain gang. So you were for chain gangs. I think you were in one, Bob.
I was a couple times.
Yes.
It's the striped suits that you don't like.
Exactly. Striped suits, chain gangs. It's like making America great again.
Hey, when are we going to talk about the ban on the people who?
That's the next segment.
It's the next segment. In fact, maybe we should go to that.
Take a look, Bob.
I did. I looked at it already. But
Can I throw one thing at you, Bobby?
Yeah, sure, please.
People said he wasn't going to build a wall. People said he wasn't going to make Mexico pay for it. People said he wasn't going to end sanctuary cities. He's telling you in day 3 or day 4, he's going to do all these.
No, he's not. He's not going to build the wall. Mexico's not going to pay for it.
Okay.
You think a Mexican politician is going to agree to pay for that wall?
I don't think they have a choice, Bob.
They don't have a choice?
There's a handful of ways of making Mexico pay for the wall, even if they don't want to.
Okay, so you want to change NAFTA, which means you got to get legislation through the Senate, 67 votes, and it's going to affect Canada.
My solution is don't make it a wall. Don't call it a wall. Call it a Mexican-American friendship monument. That it's actually a historical, it's like Mount Rushmore. It's a horizontal Mount Rushmore.
Let like all these starving artists, they could go down and
paint it. They could put graffiti. You could have a plaque on it. Make it into kind of like a big artistic.
Build a bunch of Alamos, right? Really, seriously.